Okay, I started the recording now. Just naming it as. So the full form of SAP BW is Business Information Warehouse. The full form of BW is Business Information Warehouse, and what a customer will expect from BW system. So whenever we hear a word called warehouse, so it is a storage. It is a storage location. So what will be stored in this BW system? Information. That means data. Business data will be maintained in the warehouse. In a BW system, business information will be maintained. That's why we are calling it as a business information warehouse. Okay. So the business data related to different business process will be maintained in the BW system. That's why we are calling it as a business information warehouse. And let me say like this: SAP introduced BW system in the year 1998, and the first version was BW 1.08. So this is the version which they have released in the year 1998. And after that they came up with different versions. After that they came up with different versions like 1.0A, 1.0B, and so on, like BW 2.0A, 2.0A, BW 2.0B, next one like BW 3.0, next BW 3.5, next BI 7.0. They renamed from BW to BI 7.0. Next BI 7.1 as well. Next BW 7.3. Next BW 7.4. So this is the current version available in the market. So this is the current version. So this was introduced in the year 2011. This was introduced in the year 2006. So the important version which we have to know to sustain in the current market situation here is, we need to know BA 7.0 and BW 3.5. If we are strong in these two versions, then we can handle any version of the system uh, available in the market. That means if you are strong in BI 7.0, you can easily handle all these three versions, uh, because they added only some new features in these versions compared to the BA 7.0. If you are strong in BW 3.5, you cannot handle BA 7.0. If you are strong in BA 7.0, you cannot handle this. But if you are strong in these two, you can handle any projects available in the market. So because as of now, there are still some 5% of the customers still using BW 3.5. I cannot say 3%. I can hardly say 3% using BW 3.5. But these guys are also going to migrate to BW 7.4 or BW 7.3 by end of year. So by the end of this year, all the customers who are using SAP BW system 3.5 version, they are going to migrate BW 7.4 or 7.3, because SAP is going to stop supporting the older version BW 3.5. They already given, I think, well in 2 years well advance notice to all the customers who are using BW 3.5. Stop supporting in the sense, if there is any system bug, uh, usually SAP has to support it free of cost. If that's free of cost. And SAP has given a message to all the customers who are using BW 3.5 to migrate their system version to the latest one, so that they can support this latest version systems with free of cost if they face any system issues. if customers haven't migrated their system version to newer version by the end of 2014, then then SAP is not going to support SAP is not going to support those customers if they face any system issues free of cost. There will be certain terms and conditions like okay, you need to pay this much to support the older version. Okay, so hope you guys are clear about what are the different versions available in the market. So first one is SAP BW system was introduced in the year 1998 and the version which they started was 1.0A, and the current version available in the market is BW 7.4. So in between they came up with different versions. The highlighted versions are very much important for us. BW 3.5, BA 7.0. Okay, and as part of our discussion, we are going to take care of the highlighted versions, and also we are going to take care of this latest version. So that we are going to take care of the latest version so that you will be up to the market standards. Okay, so please try to understand, if you are strong in BW 3.5, then you can handle only 3% of the projects. If you are strong in BI 7.0, then remaining 97% of the projects available in the market you can easily work after our sessions. Okay, so coming back, so hope you are clear about what they have introduced in the year 1998 and what are the different versions of it. Any questions?
No.
Okay, now moving on, what is the objective of SAP BW system? So on a high level, by looking at the abbreviation, we can come to a conclusion saying that okay, it is a system where it is going to have a business data. Okay, from a customer or a client, from a client or a customer point of view, what he will expect, what he will expect from BW system. Okay. So the objective or the expectation of a customer from the BW system is it should be a single point of access for all the business related information available in different systems. Say my client business information is available in my client information is available in different systems like SAP, ECC, Oracle, and also some Hyperion, some flat files, and also SQL Server. So my client business information is available in n number of systems, but they want one information system which should be a single point of access for all the data available in different source systems, and that data should be available for reporting for their business analysis. So on a very high level, the purpose or objective of SAP BW system is to analyze their business, for decision making. Say, say for example, the top executives like Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, Mittal, these guys will expect from BW system to analyze their business for quick decision making. Okay, so that is the purpose of or objective of SAP BW system. So if I go into the details of it, I will change the definition like this. If a customer is going to implement SAP BW system, the expectation will be they want to have an information system which should be a single point of access for all the business related information available in different sources like SAP ECC, SQL Server, Oracle, Flatfile, Hyperion, and so on. You just name it. Okay. So data is available in n number of systems, and all the data should be available in one single system called BW, and that data should be available for reporting, for their analysis, for their business analysis to take the decision. That it will be the expectation from SAP BW system. So let me quickly draw a diagram. So the above layer is the BW layer, where BW system is getting the data from all these source systems. So I am using a word called as source systems. Okay. So my customer's business information is available in SAP ECC, Oracle, SQL Server, and some data is available in Excel sheets, or some data is available in Notepad files. So if customer is implementing SAP BW system, they will expect all this data to be available in BW system and make it available for reporting and make it available for reporting. So that is the expectation from a customer, so that they will execute the reports on BW system to analyze the business. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yesterday we discussed. So yesterday we discussed about SAP ECC. In real time, in real world, 90 to 95 or else 90 to 100%, 90 to 100% of business data will be available in SAP ECC system. So as a BW consultant, we need to get the data from most of the data extraction will be from SAP ECC to SAP BW. As I mentioned, this will be the percentage. In some projects, 100% of business data will be in SAP ECC. So as a BW consultant, we will need to get the data from SAP ECC and load it to BW system. And in some projects, only 90% data will be there, and remaining 10% will be across these three systems. I'm not saying that it's only these three systems. In some projects, we will see Hyperion also. In some projects, we will use some third-party tools like data services or Informatica to get the data from another source systems. Okay, but for the time being, just you have to remember this word, like saying that in real time, most of the business data will be in SAP ECC. We are going to get the data from SAP ECC to SAP BW. Some 10% of the data will be in other systems. Okay, other systems like in Oracle or SQL, Excel or Files, etc., where we need to extract the data and load it to the SAP BW system. So to meet the objective of SAP BW, what will be our roles and responsibilities? To meet the objective of SAP BW, our roles and responsibilities are: number 1, data modeling; number 2, extraction and loading; number 3, reporting. So we discussed about what a customer will expect from SAP BW. Then to meet that expectation as a BW consultant, what will be our roles and responsibilities? So our roles and responsibilities are these three. So that means in real time, as a BW consultant, we are going to perform these three activities to meet the expectation of user from BW system. Number 1 is data modeling. So what is data modeling? I'm going back to this picture. In SAP BW system, data will be stored physically. In SAP BW system, data will be stored physically. Info objects, comma, DSOs, data store objects, comma, info cubes. In SAP BW system, data will be stored physically. That is first point to note. Next one is, in SAP BW system, info objects, comma, DSOs, comma, cubes will store the data physically. So in SAP BW system, there will be different variety of objects like info objects, data store objects, info cubes, and also we will be having multi-providers, info sets, etc. But out of all these, only three objects in SAP BW system stores the data physically. We are not going to talk about info objects, DSOs, info cubes right away. In our next sessions, those things will be discussed. For the time being, please remember, in SAP BW system, data will be stored physically. Next, in info objects, info cubes, DSOs will store the data physically. That is point number 2. Point number 3 is creation of creation of info objects, DSOs, cubes comes under sorry creation of info objects, cubes, DSOs, and defining defining the mapping between defining the mapping between the source systems defining the mapping between the source systems to these objects to these objects comes under modeling comes under modeling. Please try to understand. In SAP BW system, data will be stored physically. Info objects, DSOs, cubes will have the data physically. Creation of these objects, creation of info objects, DSOs, info cubes, and defining the mapping between the source system to these objects comes under modeling. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Next one is extraction. So under extraction activity, we are going to extract the data from all these source systems and then load it to the BW system. As I mentioned, 90 to 100% of the extraction and loading activity will be from SAP ECC. See here, I'm just writing one line. In this activity, we are going to extract the data from different sources and load it to BW system. So we are going to extract the data from SAP ECC belongs to different business process like logistics, finance, controlling, HR, different business process data we are going to extract from SAP ECC, and we will load it to the corresponding info cubes or corresponding DSOs or corresponding info objects. I'll repeat this line. In the first step, we have defined info objects, DSOs, info cubes, and we have defined the mapping between the source to these objects under data modeling activity. Under extraction activity, we are going to get the data from different sources and load it to info objects, DSOs, info cubes. Now you need to come to a conclusion. In the first step, we will create the objects. In second step, we are going to extract the data from sources and load it to these objects. In this activity,
one thing. What is mapping here? What exactly is mapping?
Say in our DSO we are having some 20 fields like sales document number, item number, material, vendor, sales order quantity, etc. And from in the source also we will be having sales document number, item number, and so on, some 20 fields or some 30 fields. Then system cannot decide on its own which source field data should go to which target field data.
Okay.
So we need to manually define a mapping between this source field data should go to this target field data.
Okay.
By defining a transformation. Okay. So let me show you what I mean. Here, this is the transformation layer, and
Uh-huh.
if we see here, this is the mapping.
Oh, okay.
So this is the mapping, like which source field data. Say source field is MATNR, and
Mm-hmm.
our BW side info object is zero material. We are
Okay.
defining mapping between this one to this one, so that the data of this source field will go to this target field.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
this is the meaning of mapping.
Okay.
So if you do a wrong mapping,
So,
yeah,
so
please.
the developer decides where this mapping,
Yeah,
isn't it?
we have to decide
Oh,
which source field
uh-huh.
data should go to which target field.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So moving on, in extraction and load, in data modeling, we define the objects and we define the mapping. In
Okay.
extraction and loading, we will get the data from different sources and load it to the objects like info objects, ESOs, input fields.
Okay.
Clear? Finally, reporting. SAP BW system is having its own reporting tool. Is having its own reporting tool like DEX. SAP BW system is having its own reporting tool called DEX. It will be called as Business Explorer. Business
Uh-huh.
Explorer. Next point I want to add here is SAP has SAP has acquired business objects in the year 2007. So after this acquisition, earlier business objects was not part of SAP. It was acquired by SAP in the year 2007. After this acquisition, client is having after this acquisition, client is having two options. Client is having two options as reporting tools. Okay. So right now the current market, say if a customer wants to implement SAP BW system, a fresh implementation, then in that case they are having two options as a reporting tools. Number one is BEX, number two is business objects. It all depends upon their requirement. They can go with either of these reporting tools, either business objects or business explorer. So based upon their choice, as a BW consultant, we need to develop the reports using that corresponding reporting tool, and those reports will be executed by user. So what I'm trying to say here, on SAP BW system, we need to develop the reports using one of the tools or sometimes both the tools, that is BEX, Business Explorer, or Business Objects, so that our end user is going to execute the reports, okay, for their business analysis. Am I clear?
Yeah. Yes.
So just a point to be noted here is BW system as of now is having two reporting tools, Business Explorer, number two is Business Objects. So whatever client wants, say client has purchased business objects from SAP, then as a BW consultant we need to develop the reports using business objects, and those reports will be executed by user for their analysis. So as a BW consultant, to meet the objective of SAP BW, we are going to perform these three activities. So this will be our roles and responsibilities. Am I clear? Any questions?
Yeah. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now moving on, note here is if a customer is having SAP ECC, then only that customer will go for BW system. Will go for BW system. So there is no customer in this world who are using, there is no customer in this world who is using SAP BW system without having SAP ECC. Please remember this point. If you are, say, you are going to work in an SAP BW project, you need to realize that, okay, I'm going to work in SAP BW, then definitely that customer is going, will have SAP ECC system. There is no doubt about it. Clear? So if a customer is having SAP ECC, then that customer will go for a BW system, or then that customer will have BW system. There is no customer in this world who is using SAP BW system without SAP ECC. Clear? Now there are around 40,000 customers. Around 40,000 customers are using SAP ECC. So around 18,000 customers are using SAP BW. So I mean almost half of it. So around 40,000 customers are using SAP ECC system. Around 18,000 customers are using SAP BW system. So that is the point which we have to remember. So going forward, the percentage where customers are going to use SAP BW system may increase, because these customers who are already using SAP ECC, they may look for an information system which should be a single point of access for all their business related information for their analysis. Okay, so this is the important information which we need to remember. Now, to implement SAP ECC, what are the different consultants required? What are the different consultants required? What are the different consultants required, and what will be their roles and responsibilities we are going to discuss. So please try to follow my lines. To implement SAP, what are the different consultants required? Number 1, SAP Basis Consultant. SAP Basis Consultant. Number 2, SAP Functional Consultant. SAP Functional Consultant. Number 3, SAP ABAP Consultants. Technical ABAP Consultants. So these 3 consultants are required to implement SAP ECC. I haven't mentioned SAP BW. If you see here, because we are not implementing SAP BW here. We are implementing SAP ECC. So to implement SAP ECC, these are the 3 consultants required. Then, what will be the roles and responsibilities of basis consultant? Number 1. So the basis consultants are responsible to install the software in the server. That is point number 1. Point number 2, they are responsible to define the user IDs for functional consultants and ABAP consultants and end users, and also providing authorizations to the technical team, that is ABAP team, functional team and end users. I'll repeat, the roles and responsibilities of basis consultant is the installation of the software in the server. Number 1 is clear. So installation of the software in the server, that is 1 point. Next time, upgrading the software. Say for example, my customer is using the older version R3 4.7c. Now the customer want to migrate from R3 4.7c to ECC 7.0. That upgradation of the system versions to the latest one will be taken care by basis consultant. I repeat, basis consultant responsibilities is, we need to know all these things, because once we enter into the real world, we need to know who will perform what, so that we can communicate with them easily. Because sometimes what happens is, if we don't know the roles and responsibilities of each and every consultant, we will go and ask to perform an activity which is not relevant to them. then they will easily identify us like we are not a real-time consultant, we are fake. Okay. So SAP basis consultant roles and responsibilities are: number one, they are going to install the software in the server. They are responsible to migrate the system version to the latest one. They are responsible to create a user ID. Say I logged into my BW system with a user ID called SAP user. Who will create this user ID? Basis consultant is responsible to create the user IDs. Okay. So basis consultant is responsible to create the user IDs for all ABAP consultants, functional consultants, and end user. Okay. Next one is basis consultant is responsible to define the connections between the systems. Say, say customer is using BW system. Then defining the connection between SAP ECC to SAP BW, Oracle to BW, SQL Server to BW. All these connections will be taken care by the basis consultant. So I'll repeat, basis consultant roles and responsibilities are very critical. What is number one? Installation of the software. Installation of the software. What is number two? Upgrading the system version. Upgrading the system version. What is number three?
Creation of user IDs and
Creation of user IDs. Number four, defining the connections. Defining the connections between the systems. What is number five? Uh, Important one, monitoring the system spaces, because sometimes as the time goes on, if they are having a 5 terabyte hard disk, as the time goes on, users keep on performing the transactions, then the database will completely get occupied, then system is going to crash. So it's basic responsibility to continuously monitor the system spaces. So monitoring the system spaces. Okay. So these will be the roles and these will be the responsibilities of SAP basis consultant. Okay. So number one is installation of the software. Number two is upgrading the system version. Number three is creation of user IDs. Number four is defining the connections between the system. Number five is monitoring the table spaces. Next, what will be the responsibility of a functional consultant? The responsibility of a functional consultant. First of all, before I get into that, in SAP ECC, different business process will be implemented, like sales and distribution, finance, controlling, HR, plant maintenance, quality management, and so on. So there will be n number of functional consultants who are going to work in SAP ECC. Say for example, SAP SD consultant, he is going to configure SD related. He is going to configure SD related configuration in SAP ECC, sales and distribution. There will be another SAP MM consultant. Like that, there will be different functional consultants for each and every business process to configure existing business in SAP ECC. So that means the very critical role to make a project successful will be on the shoulders of SAP functional consultant, because they need to understand existing client business. They need to have so many meetings with the users who are already performing the day-to-day transactions before SAP GC. They need to communicate with them, and those guys, they need to communicate with them, and they need to take inputs from them and configure that in SAP ECC. So on a high level, they need to define master data. They need to define the integration between the different business process. Because yesterday's class we highlighted this point. In a SAP ECC is very famous in this world because of tightly integration between the different business process. Okay.
yeah.
Tightly integration between the different business process. That point we have highlighted. So the functional consultant role here is very critical. He need to understand the existing client business and configure that in SAP ECC by defining the master data, and also by defining the integration between the different business process, and he is responsible for testing, unit testing as well, whether that integration is working properly or not by going with different test cases. So please try to remember, there will be different functional consultants like SD consultant, FI consultant, MM consultant, CO consultant, HR consultant, like that. Their main responsibility is configure existing existing business in SAP ECC system. Existing business in SAP ECC system, like defining the master data and integration between the systems. Sorry, integration between the business process, not between the systems. Integration between the different business processes. So this is the point which we need to know about the functional consultant. Remember, very highly paid consultants or functional consultants in SAP module. Okay. So moving on to ABAP consultant. ABAP consultant is a technical consultant using a programming language called ABAP, Advanced Business Application Programming Language. This consultant is going to create some programs which will be called as reports. Those when user execute that report, yeah, they are going to get certain required output. So I'll repeat, ABAP consultants will develop programs which will be called as reports using the programming language called ABAP, which is Advanced Business Application Programming Language. Using the programming language, they are going to create a reports, and those reports will be executed by operational level managers to see the day-to-day transactions, whatever they did happen in a particular plant. So if I talk about a plant like Britannia plant, which is there in Ahmedabad or Madhya Pradesh. So if I go to that plant, there will be a particular operational level manager. He is going to execute certain reports in SAP ECC system to see how many sales orders have been generated, how many purchase orders have been generated, how many plant maintenance orders have been generated. So those kind of operational level reports he is going to execute. So before he executes that report, someone has to define that report. That reports will be developed by ABAP consultant using the programming language called ABAP. Am I clear?
Okay.
Which will be executed by operational level managers. So on a high level, if a customer wants to implement SAP ECC, then he needs these three consultants: SAP Basis Consultant, SAP Functional Consultants, and SAP ABAP Consultants. And SAP Functional Consultants will be different for each and every business process. Like there will be SAP FI Consultant, SAP HR Consultant, SAP PP Consultant, and so on. Now, to implement SAP BW, following consultants are required. Number one, SAP BW consultant. Number two, SAP Basis consultant. So these two consultants are required to implement SAP BW system. So as discussed above, we are clear about what will be our roles and responsibilities in SAP BW system. And coming to SAP Basis consultant, what he is going to do? He is going to install the softwares as we discussed in the above case, and he is going to upgrade the versions of the system from older version to the newer version, and he's going to monitor the table spaces. He's going to create the user IDs for us to get into BW system, and he's going to define the connections between the systems. So whatever we have discussed about, please go on mute.
Sorry?
You can see a mute option, so you can mute yourself.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem, Kishore. Please go on mute. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. Yeah. Thank you. So to implement SAP BW system, following consultants are required. So number one is SAP BW consultant. Number two is basis consultant. So we discussed about the roles and responsibilities of BW consultant, and also we discussed the roles and responsibilities of basis consultants. Okay, so we are clear about it. So if a customer wants to implement SAP ECC, then these three consultants are required. If customer wants to implement SAP BW, these two consultants are required. So going forward, if there is a question like, so in which systems basis consultant is going to work? Basis consultant is going to work in SAP ECC as well as in SAP BW system. Then in which system functional consultant is going to work? He is going to work in SAP ECC only. In which system ABAP consultant is going to work? He is going to work in only SAP ECC system. Then in which system in SAP BW consultant is going to work? He is going to work both in SAP BW and SAP ECC. Why in SAP ECC? Because we need to get the data from SAP ECC to BW. We need to get the data from SAP ECC to BW. To get the data from SAP ECC to BW, we need to perform certain activities in SAP ECC system. So we will discuss those in our next further sessions. But for the time being, as a BW consultant, we are going to work in both SAP ECC as well as in BW system. To get the data from SAP ECC, I need to perform some activities in SAP ECC system. Clear? So,
yeah.
Basis consultant is going to work both in SAP BW as well as in SAP ECC system. So on a high level, you guys are clear now to which consultant is going to work in which system. Okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I am going to I'm getting into a general concepts. So far we discussed about what is SAP ECC system, and what is SAP ECC system, and what is SAP BW system, and who are going to work in each systems we have discussed. Then tomorrow we are going to get into general database concepts, because to understand SAP BW, we need to have an understanding of database. Manohar and Kishore, I will request you guys to Google it just to get you some understanding about what is. I think Kishore already know it. Manohar, please try to Google it. Try to understand what is a database and how the data will be stored in a database, and what is a table, what is a primary key and foreign key of the table.
Okay.
So to understand the depth of SAP BW, if you have these basic fundamentals, then we can easily understand the BW concepts. Okay. Yeah.
If you don't mind, 1 second, I'll just note down them.
Anyway, I'll write it over here. I'll send the Excel sheet.
Yeah.
So what is a database?
Okay.
What is a database? Then how the data will be stored in database.
Okay.
Next one, what is a table? Then what is primary key? What is
primary key is something like which uniquely identifies the thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
The primary key and foreign key of the table. these
Okay.
things are the basic fundamentals to understand SAP BW.
Okay.
So tomorrow I
Sure.
just will start with what are the different types of databases and what
Uh-huh.
is OLTP and what is OLAP, and then we will
Uh-huh.
slowly get into our BW concepts.
Okay.
Okay, so please try to spend some half an hour to understand these things, then more will help.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay.
Okay, Kishore, tomorrow at 6 we will continue further. Okay, thank you. I will send this
Yeah. Okay,
recording
sir.
and also I'll send this recording as well as the Excel sheet.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
Cool.
you.